So what do you think are the key skills that you've developed that has helped you succeed?
Usually I try to listen to people, but then I'm told not always.
As a leader, you have to do both.
Right. So
Yeah.
I try to listen, and I try to accept that each person is an individual with strengths and weaknesses. Like I could tell you my strengths and weaknesses as well. So I think that's really important. And I think that I believe strongly that when working with people, you try to find what they do best and have them do that. So for example, while you could argue that anybody here could teach a certain course, if it's not your passion, you're going to teach the best you can when you're teaching something you're passionate about.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think it's always best to try to give that opportunity to people so that, to take them for their individual. But of course, I give, but then I would expect people in return to show that same flexibility. I think, flexibility is important.
Right. Yeah. And what resources do you think you got access to that helped you succeed in different ways?
I think through the years I've had some mentoring and taken courses out there available for academics who want to get into administration. I think those are important. I think getting engaged in associations where you have colleagues who can help, I think that's really important, and I encourage everyone, and I know that you have done this, to really engage with at least one institution and help create things in that institution and mentor others in that institution. So I think that's always been important.
And what do you think have been your biggest successes? I know there have been many. You would probably play it down, but...
Well, I think there have been several things. I think, early on I was one of the first educators to teach an online course at University of Maryland. It was University of Maryland's first online course at the time, because I recognized that was a direction that the world was going to be heading in that direction.
Right.
So kind of looking at, I love the futurist, by the way, like just trying to determine what the future will be and reading the signs and doing environmental scanning, because I think that's how you try to figure out what direction, where you would go. I think the Internet Public Library, we were not founders of the Internet Public Library. That was Joe Janes at University of Michigan. But when Michigan had to hand it off, it went to Drexel. I was hired at Drexel, actually, probably in part because of that. And we kept it going for a long time. And I think that was a great experience. Internet Public Library, at the time Joe Janes founded, again, he's very future thinking, was a way to offer reference service using email. So anybody in the world could come on and ask a question, and students in different library science programs who had signed on board would get the question, research the question, and provide a free answer. And people didn't know how. That's how I think we started showing them how good a library science student could be and how good a librarian could be in answering these detailed questions.
So one question I think for people who are increasingly using Google or any other search engine and not going to libraries, why do you think people should still go to libraries?
I think people should go to libraries and also talk to librarians, because even librarians are going to be searching the internet as well, but the librarians can help determine the validity of the information. And in this day and age when it's so easy to falsify information and there's all these claims about fake news and fake information, that librarians can help evaluate the information. And I think that that's something that the graduates of library science programs, I think in many ways searching is less and less important, because everyone can search and everyone has access to resources to search, but to be able at the time you search to immediately apply critical thinking to the results that you get, and also to recognize, could there be something else that I'm missing here?
You talked about fake news, right? And you mentioned critical thinking. And I've seen that increasingly more and more people actually believe fake news as true. Yeah. And I think there's a great need to educate people on critical thinking. And how do you think information science professionals can come in trying to bring about this change?
I think that has to happen early in life. So by the time students get to college, I think it's late,
okay.
to unlearn. I think it has to start late elementary school, middle school, because I think that students, and that also has to do with careers. For example, we're trying to recruit more women into STEM, the science, technology, engineering, math. And that's difficult because by the time, even in high school, they get to high school, they've already made up their minds for other fields. So I think getting to students at a younger and younger age to get them used to looking and questioning information, because again, it's almost like design thinking, like, do I believe this? Is this what I want to believe? Is this true? And how would I know that it's true? This was going on for a while when you would do a search and you would get a .com in your URL, right?
Yeah.
And you think, oh, wait a minute, that isn't what I was looking for. I was looking for the government, a government agency, which could give me the answer to this. So even back then, we were told to do quick checks in that way. Now it's gotten much more difficult, particularly with video and film, that you can change something very easily and people won't know. So I think we have to start young and then continue throughout. But as you say, what studies have shown, that you say something to someone, if they want to believe it, they will.
Right.
And also there's a book, that about statistics, and you can lie with statistics.
Oh, yes.
So you could have a group of people around a table reading the same study and understanding it differently.
Right,
And that's
right.
never going to change.
Yeah. What do you think are your life lessons?
Life lessons, like if I had it to do again, I think I'd be more patient in general. I think I would maybe have been a little bit more purposeful in my direction, because I will say that I would take opportunities as they arose. And I made, I think, good choices, but I didn't have a goal from day one saying this is what I wanted to do. So maybe I could have sat back a bit and thought, well, where do I want to be? And it ends up that I ended up, I think, where I wanted to be. But I think maybe that would have been a good solution.
Good. And any mentoring advice that you have for people who might follow your footsteps?
I think about opportunities that arise and try to see how they fit. So when I talk to junior faculty members about establishing a research agenda, for example, I always talk about the umbrella. So you paint a wide picture of what it is you're interested in, and then you have sort of spokes coming out of it, and make sure it all fits under the umbrella. And it may be that many things you want to do will fit under the umbrella, and you can make the umbrella wider or bigger if you want. Get a golf umbrella.
Yes.
But I think thinking a little bit about that, because I also had to learn to say no. I had very hard time saying no. For anything, asked to take on an extra course, they asked to do extra service. But at some point, I think it's healthy to say no, because I think it helps you maintain work-life balance, which I think is very important.
So thank you so much, Eileen. This was wonderful, and I know you were hesitating to give this interview, but I think there's a lot of value to it. Thank you so
very much.
Thank you, Eileen.
And when I talk, I don't look at you, I look at that.
No, we can go back and forth. Like, that's the audience, and you're talking to me. So what do I say?